Rishi Sunak has called a surprise general election for the 4th of July in a high-stakes gamble that will see Keir Starmer try to win power for Labour after 14 years of Conservative-led government. Now, in some ways, many argue that for Rishi Sunak, the equation was simple. When you've had as much bad news as the British Prime Minister in recent months, you'll take anything in the way of good fortune. There are some signs of light at the end of the economic tunnel, the long-awaited passage of his flagship Rwanda immigration scheme, the prospect of a feel-good soccer tournament on the horizon, and some sunnier weather. Well, some experts argue that it must have felt to Sunak that if he waited any longer, to coin a phrase, things could only get worse. Nonetheless, the decision came as a shock to Westminster and much of the UK at large, where the assumption had been that the Prime Minister would hang on until the fall, allowing him the comfort, should he lose, of going down in history books as having racked up a respectable 2 years in number 10 Downing Street. However, it could be a risky strategy. The Tories are actually 20 points behind the opposition Labour Party in the polls. But with the element of surprise, one of the chief advantages remaining to a UK government facing a tricky election, it seems Sunak has decided to gamble on the theory that the outlook would never be better than this summer to face voters. We have political reactions lined up for you, along with reactions from voters in the UK and Ollie Barrett's ground report from London. Listen into the finer details.
Now is the moment for Britain to choose its future, to decide whether we want to build on the progress we have made or risk going back to square one with no plan and no certainty. Earlier today, I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
I guess he's just doing it because he wants an early summer holiday because he knows he's going to lose, or he thinks it's a better time to win, if there is one.
On the 4th of July, you have the choice. And together, we can stop the chaos, we can turn the page, we can start to rebuild Britain and change our country.
The starting gun has been fired on the UK election campaign. Rishi Sunak confirming on the street outside Downing Street that July the 4th will be the date that Britain goes to the polls. This was something of a surprise. Most analysts had been expecting that the general election would be called in November or perhaps October. The Prime Minister insisting that the economy is improving, that issues around migration and the National Health Service are being dealt with as well. He says life in the UK is beginning to improve again after a difficult period of a cost of living crisis, the energy price spike, COVID-19 pandemic and the furlough scheme before that. He will point to his successes in office. The opposition Labour Party will say many of the problems that Britain has been facing are a direct result of Conservative government economic policies. Labour say it's time for a change. Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, Rishi Sunak, the leader of the Conservatives, all the other parties and their party leaders as well will now begin crisscrossing the country, making their case to the British people ahead of that vote on July the 4th. Ollie Barrett, NDTV, London.